getting answers from all across Northern California. This is the CBS 13 News This Morning.
Good morning. It is Thursday. It's June 20th. I'm Dina Kupfer. It's now 6 a.m. and we begin with breaking news. Sacramento police officer Tara O'Sullivan was shot and killed in the line of duty last night after responding to a suspect who was barricaded in a home in North Sacramento. This morning, we're learning that that suspect has turned himself in. That happened just after 2 a.m. CBS 13's Dan Mitchinson is live in Sacramento with more. Dan, just a tragic night for law enforcement. What can you tell us?
Yeah, it is, Dina. You know, there is no such thing as just a typical day when an officer walks out the door, and that was certainly the case for this officer. It took about 8 hours, though, for the gunman to surrender. Now, the officer responded to a call of domestic dispute late yesterday afternoon. When she arrived here in North Sacramento, gunshots began. The woman that Officer O'Sullivan was helping was not injured, but the officer was struck by a bullet, taken to the hospital where she later died.
I'm sad to share with you tonight that we lost one of our own. Officer Tara Christina O'Sullivan died at the hospital. Officer Tara O'Sullivan was shot and killed. She gave her young life while protecting our community.
Yeah, the officer had just graduated from the academy about 6 months ago. We don't know the relationship between the alleged shooter and the woman that Officer O'Sullivan was helping. Back here in North Sacramento, crime scene tape is all around the area where this happened. People were not allowed back into their home. And what was frustrating for the colleagues of Officer O'Sullivan was that they just couldn't reach her fast enough because they were being targeted. We're told by neighbors that every time those officers went in to try and reach her, that they were facing gunshots of their own, bullets, as the gunman was apparently targeting them as well. So it took about 45 minutes to an hour for them to actually reach her. Then she was transported to the hospital. She underwent an operation, but she died at UC Medical Center. So that is the latest this morning from here in North Sacramento. We'll have updates for you throughout the day right here and, of course, online as well. Dina?
And Dan Mitchinson, while we have you, just seeing the scene behind you this morning, I know Sacramento police telling us that this will be an active scene. Can you just describe what you're seeing out there this morning now that the daylight has come up?
Well, we're seeing about a half a dozen police cars or so. They're not letting the media any closer here. They're not letting the neighbors into the area here of Traction and Grove right now. We're told if a typical scene like this, if a shooting was to happen and somebody was to die, a civilian was to die, it would take several hours, maybe a little bit longer for homicide detectives to wrap up their investigation. But because this is a police officer, a sergeant told me it'll probably take at least twice as long for them to continue their investigation this morning. We don't know when the crime scene tape will be removed, and we don't know how long it'll be before some of these people will be allowed back into their homes. So that is the latest from North Sacramento, Dina.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got to do a thorough job there. All right, Dan Mitchinson reporting live for us. Thank you. And we are continuing to learn more about fallen officer Tara O'Sullivan. She was hired by the Sacramento Police Department in January of 2018, and she joined the academy in July of last year. She then graduated from the academy in December of 2018. Police say O'Sullivan was still training and was with her training officers when the gunfire started. O'Sullivan studied child development and was in the first class in the Law Enforcement Candidate Scholars Program. Mayor Darrell Steinberg also shared his condolences last night.
As a father of a 25-year-old daughter, I grieve with you. As mayor of the city Tara was sworn to protect, we are heartbroken, and we are here for all of you every step of the way.
And as mentioned, Officer O'Sullivan was in a phase of training. She was just a couple of weeks away from patrolling on her own. And officers did gather last night at UC Davis Medical Center, awaiting for what turned out to be that tragic news. A white hearse was seen carrying that Sacramento officer leaving UC Davis Medical Center around 12:30 this morning, followed by hundreds of law enforcement personnel and first responders. So many, in fact, it took more than 10 minutes for all of those vehicles to leave. Sullivan was rushed to the hospital around 7 last night in a damaged patrol car after being hit in the line of duty, again after responding to that domestic disturbance call. And as Dan mentioned, it reportedly took about an hour to get to her safely. Authorities are still calling that scene this morning active and potentially dangerous.
To the citizens of Sacramento, we are forever grateful. Officer Tara O'Sullivan is end of watch, June 19th, 2019. Your watch is ended. We'll take it from here. You will never be forgotten.
Every time you hear that, gives you the chills. That was the end of watch call sent out by Sacramento police just before 4 o'clock this morning, something that is tradition when they lose one of their own. Again, though, this was the first line of duty death for the Sacramento Police Department in 20 years. We'll have continuing coverage of this deadly officer-involved shooting when we're not on the air. You can always read the latest on our website, cbs13.com. It is 6:05 now. Let's turn things over to Jordan, who's got a look at our forecast. This is the last day of spring.
That's right, Dina. Tomorrow we welcome in summer with temperatures actually below average for today. Taking a live look outside through our Holiday Inn camera. It's a beautiful start to the day. We got a nice delta breeze pushing through that is bringing our temperatures this morning quite down from where we were yesterday. We are at 57 here in Sacramento, as well as in Fairfield, 61, Stockton, Modesto. Up in Auburn, 63 degrees, so that brings them at about 4 degrees cooler than where they were yesterday morning. 7 degrees cooler today out towards Placerville. That delta breeze pretty strong out towards Fairfield. Sustained winds at 28 miles per hour, so winds are at about 10 here in Sacramento. We're going to see our winds shifting a bit to the north as we head into the afternoon hours. This low pressure system dropping down, so that's bringing cooler air, but that pressure gradient tightening. So this afternoon, winds will shift to the north. By tomorrow, we could see gusts here in the valley closer to 35 miles per hour, especially from Sacramento up to the north. Today, lots of sunshine all across the board. We'll see 86 degrees here in the valley, 82 up into the foothills, 74 in this area with lots of sunshine. Coming up, I'll have your weekend forecast. We'll let you know how warm things will get because although we'll be cool today and tomorrow, we're back into the 90s Saturday and Sunday. Dina, over to you.
All right, Jordan, thank you. And we are also following this breaking news this morning. All of the southbound lanes of Highway 99 are blocked right now just before Fruit Ridge Road because of a crash that involved a big rig. CBS photographer Dave Grasshoff is live at that scene with the details. Dave, what a mess. Good morning.
Yeah, southbound 999 is closed. A lot going on. I'm going to be quiet here just for a minute and you can hear right there, Caltrans crews really working to try to get all this debris out of the roadway. Basically, this big rig right here was traveling in the southbound direction about 2 hours ago, right at Fruit Ridge, when he hit a paver in the roadway. They've moved that paver off of the side of the road right there, but there's often a lot of debris and metal and a lot of fluid. You can see that Caltrans crews have put down some absorbent to try to get some of that material up. We talked to CHP a short time ago, who talked a little bit about the collision.
That truck overturned, which is behind me here, which dumped all of its load all over the ground here.
And look at the debris that still remains in the roadway right here. And I have to tell you, Dina, 2 people sustained minor injuries. One, the driver of this big rig right here, minor injuries. And then there were 2 people that were on the paver. One person on that paver sustained minor injuries. So busy trying to get this cleaned up. You can see northbound direction of 99 at Fruit Ridge is still able to get through, but it is crawling as people are checking out all the activity going on. Dina?
Wow, all right, and I know CHP mentioned about 4 hours at least for the estimated time of reopening, so that should put it at about 9 a.m. at last check, Dave. So thank you for giving us those live pictures this morning. Well, the Sacramento County Sheriff's deputy accused of having sex with a minor is due back in court today. Shauna Bishop was arrested last week for having sex with the 16-year-old son of her former boyfriend. Court documents say the 45-year-old also talked to him about drinking and using drugs at his mom's house. The 5-year veteran most recently worked as a patrol deputy. Turning to politics now, former Vice President Joe Biden is refusing to apologize for comments he made about working with segregationist lawmakers when he first got to the Senate. Well, now other Democratic candidates are talking about this. CBS's Laura Podesta has the latest.
Former Vice President Joe Biden says he has nothing to be sorry about.
There's not a racist bone in my body. I've been involved in civil rights my whole career. Period. Period. Period.
At a fundraiser on Tuesday, Biden was discussing his early years in Washington when he worked alongside segregationist senators like James Eastland of Mississippi and Herman Talmadge of Georgia. Biden said, quote, "Things got done, and with civility." His remarks prompted another White House candidate, New Jersey Senator Cory Booker, to demand an apology.
Apologize for what?
Cory Booker's called for it.
Cory should apologize. He knows better.
Last night, Senator Booker said someone who aspires to the presidency should know better than to praise the work of segregationists.
I was raised to speak truth to power, and that I will never apologize for doing that. And Vice President Biden shouldn't need this lesson.
Biden insists that his comments were taken out of context.
I ran for the United States Senate because I disagreed with the views of the segregationists, and many of them in the Senate at the time.
Another Democrat seeking the White House, California Senator Kamala Harris, said Biden was coddling his former colleagues' reputations.
The senators that he is speaking of with such adoration are individuals who made and built their reputation on segregation.
Harris is not demanding an apology from Biden. She says it's up to him to decide if one is needed.
Again, that was Laura Podesta. So last night, another leading Democratic candidate, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, told reporters, quote, "It's never okay to celebrate segregationists," but then refused to criticize Biden directly. It is now 6:11. The Sacramento Kings trying to recreate second-round magic at the NBA draft today. And a Sacramento police officer killed in the line of duty, again after responding to that domestic disturbance call. We'll have much more on this developing story coming up this hour. First, let's go back outside. Jordan is tracking your last sunrise of spring.
That's right, and it is absolutely gorgeous today. A live look outside through our Rayleigh Field camera. The River Cats on the road out in Las Vegas. Here in Sacramento, though, we are looking at beautiful blue skies today. Temperatures on the cooler side and the winds starting to pick up. We'll break it all down coming up in your full weather forecast.